This is blog number 6. What a weird few days it's been. Obviously last week, just to recap, Graham Miller last Tuesday offering all the councillors out if he thought they were giving information out and saying come down the Civic car park and I'll sort you out. We also had been challenged by Ellen Ball endorsement night about £1,000, which I'm now led to believe is definitely Labour Party funds, which they allegedly put in his bank account and they want to know what he did with it. We've got challenges around some missing equipment to do with one of the portfolio holders' budgets from last year, which may or may not be the subject of the investigation that we keep getting told he was under. We just don't know because we don't get the answers. We hear facts, but we then don't hear the end tail because the Labour Party itself never seems or never wants to seem to actually be transparent. I think that's something that's got to sort of change as we go forward. Will it change under Graham Miller? No. I've met 2, 3, 4, 5 people this week. I had various conversations with others who all describe Graham as quite a soft character but quite bombastic, quite pig-headed, which his behaviour suggests that, in that even when he knows he's backs up against the wall and it's a last resort stand, he'll go, it's the charge of the Light Brigade. This is the sort of bloke we're dealing with who doesn't know when to quit and doesn't know when it's in his own health, his own sort of public health to actually quit and let others come in and take over. I'm also hearing that lots and lots of people out of the 32 that voted for him are now saying, oh my God, unless you got rewarded by cabinet or deputies and stuff like that, they're almost saying, what on earth did we do? So we've got that. The other thing that's sort of emerged was dragging some new officers in who have never ever dragged in before, and 2 in particular that I've seen over the last few days and who've acted a bit weirdly around us. One is Paul Davies, who was head of audit. And I think he got sick of auditing sort of my stuff under Alan Caddick because his officers had it. There was a guy called Adam who kept coming down who became best mates with. So you're the squeakiest, cleanest guy in the thing. So nice try, Mr. Caddick, but you never quite got us on the stuff you thought you would. You even made things up about Chesley Street whilst I was on the sick, but that'll all emerge as I've put certain things into motion today to get those sort of facts out into the public domain through the right channels and not through here so that they can be looked at appropriately. And also people's roles and things, because the other guy is Graham King. And the reason I'm now going to name Graham is Graham plays a significant part, and until now I still don't know whether he played a negative part or a positive part. What I will play is, up until a certain point, Graham was always fair with us. And I've explained in a testimony today about what Graham's role was. But yesterday I'm talking to a ex-colleague who's been a friend of mine since 2002. And she's been absolutely lovely to me and my family, my kids, and I've been seeing her out and about and being well supportive. If they think she's the mole, then God help you. You're looking in all the wrong places, you know. So just sometimes stop being a bit paranoid about just the fact I say hello to people and have a chat about me kids and life in general and how other people are and the weather. So when you walk past us, Mr. King, normally you ignore me and we both go our separate ways. But yesterday was a slightly different. That's been sort of fired in the right direction, so people are aware of it. But then today got even weirder. I'm out of city dealing with something else, and I get a phone call, a bit of panic around something to do with my daughter and our transport, and misinformation or lack of information from one department in the council to the other. Now we've all heard that before. And somebody comes back to work today, apparently got an email, which they should have known about things about 4 or 5 weeks ago that was set in motion. So instead of coming straight to me, they went to another third party, quite legitimately, but it ended up coming back to my door. So I came back over to Sunderland and had to go into the Civic Centre. Explained to the guy on the door, the guard, because we've got security now, we don't have receptionists anymore. Apparently us people aren't welcome in the Civic anymore. To say I need to speak to the guy, and the guy's Paul Tomlin from Transport, and Paul's fine, he does his job. And if you've got a valid reason for why things shouldn't be the way done, he actually does listen and ensures that things are done in a way that your child actually isn't disadvantaged. So I've got no crux with Paul whatsoever, or his department of transport. But I sit down and explain things, because certain things are having to change because of another authority's decision, because my daughter's schooled out of city. and their illegal actions, which will come to light sort of shortly through the proper channels, where basically they left us with no services come September. But that's now been sorted because the Director of Education, Sunderland, got involved, blah, blah, blah. And let's say things are going through the right processes, but nobody told Transport. So Paul contacts people, I went and spoke to him, had a long conversation in the foyer of the Civic. Now, it took a while to find Paul, so I sat there, and ex-colleagues, one walked past, and all of a sudden, quite a few were walking past, to the point somebody even came close to us. I don't know if they were trying to hear what they said, but then they went back and talked to my ex-commissioning colleagues up on the balcony, because you were spotted. We even sort of Paul was looking around, and I think thinking, what the hell's going on here? There was too many of you for it not. And when people like Jill Lawson walk past and rubberneckers and go up at me and stare at me, if looks could kill Jill, I'd be dead today. But hey, looks can't kill, and basically what will sort of finish you off is some of the practices that you got up to around particular procurements with Mr. Carrick. So hey, suck it up and just let's see what's coming. But it was an interesting exercise. And then I get another phone call from a very distinguished gentleman in the city. And I've had to write this down because it does have to be said sort of accurately. Basically, I met this guy for tea and a cake today on sort of his request. And this is a guy he's quite an older guy, and he's like, I'm sort of nearly at my half century, but not quite there yet. And this guy is another sort of quarter on us, thereabouts, and been around for a lot of years and been on all aspects of life, and basically seen it at all levels. And I'm sorry, I'm reading off this, so I'm just the thing is, and he's seen all aspects of humanity, both the good, the bad, and the downright evil. And let's just say his legendary ability to fit complicated jigsaw pictures of life together with and what people are up to without having a picture. He's the go-to guy if people want to get things understood. The other side is his words should actually be listened to. If this guy says something, you need to listen and you need to understand where he's coming from and why, and what his motives are, but also his motives are actually quite genuine. He's got a heart of gold, especially where kids and young people and vulnerable people are concerned, and people who are disadvantaged. And whether I come into that category, I don't know, but hey, make your mind up. He said something quite significant today, which I hadn't even considered because I hadn't computed this in my head that would potentially go this far. And this is about the politics and why Graham Miller's suddenly become leader in the way that he did, and who's backing him, and that's John Kelly and his wife, Fiona Miller. They're also involved in the IAMP and things. So you can see the little threesome, sort of the three cabal that have emerged. As I said, this guy's quite astute, and technology. And what he said was, had I considered the fact that this power grab by the Millers and John Kelly was effectively the first step to them removing the non-Corbyn MPs in the city. And I say non-Corbyn, if two definitely are. One wasn't but voted against him and has now gone back in the fold. So you've got Elliott and Phillipson, who are definitely non-Corbyn and definitely not that far to the left. You've got Hodgson, who's probably the better of the three MPs, but did actually, when the 78 MPs voted against Corbyn in 2015-16, 17 when it was, she's part of that group, and therefore not fully trusted by the sort of Corbynites, Momentum and the rest of them. As I've said before, Miller and them are part of Momentum, they're part of the far left, they espouse certain values but then go and do something different. But hey, if they're telling the public this is how far left we are, what this guy said, it makes sense, that it's not just a power grab for the city. Because if you'd had that, you would have had Miles Elliott and Julie Elliott doing exactly the opposite and keeping people like Michael Essel. And the reason I've named Essel in this is what my friend, this guy that I met today, said. Essel's just a bully. He's not a shrewd politician, so they couldn't pull him up as an MP and the rest of it. And that's why he said it's Kelly, Fiona Miller and Graham Miller. Now, if this prophecy, and that's what it is, it's a prophecy based on an analysis of the facts, is to not come true, and basically all the sitting councillors, the ones who are mourning on saying, oh, we don't want Miller anymore, we've had enough of Miller, it's only the first month and look at all of the problems he's brought, and we're hearing it, and we're hearing sort of other things within the ranks from the CLPs, Constituency Labour Group and stuff, that the rank and file aren't happy. If you're that damn unhappy and he's threatened you, then basically you need to turn around to him and say, vote of no confidence. Contact Fiona Stanton, get the rule book, work out how to do it, but do it instead of just sitting around waiting for a miracle to happen. Because unless you do your duty, the rest of us can't move the city forward. Because this guy's a big block. Because we know what he's opposed to Nissan, we know he's opposed to the energy plant, which is going to fuel the IAMP and the rest of Nissan, because Nissan doesn't... Bizarrely, I was in a meeting yesterday where I got told the wind turbines don't work efficiently because they're too close together and they're in the wrong location. And you can't put more on because it just sort of makes the effect of the front two turning, which then dissipate all the wind, so everyone behind it doesn't then catch any wind. Which is why they need the incinerator to become cost neutral, which is why we need them to be there, because otherwise they'll leave after Brexit and go somewhere cheaper. And you think the amount of jobs in the economy that'll be sunk? Because the deal struck between Ian Malcolm and South Tyneside around the IAMP and things, it has wider, bigger implications for the port of Sunderland, the new bridge. If you don't understand this stuff, go and just work out why the road structure from Nissan and the IAMP is run all the way to our port and not down the A19 into South Tyneside, because there was always a risk of the port of Tyne, who is owned by Newcastle, actually sort of, or the shares in Newcastle and stuff, is actually pulling out at some point and shifting everything to the north of the Tyne under the new government funding around the North Devolution. The risk was too big, and Malcolm and Paul Watson saw this, had a meeting with Theresa May post-Brexit, and that's where the deal got done. And I tell you what a cracking deal it was for the city. But Miller, Kelly and Fiona Miller have undermined it. Fiona Miller's running around winding up the tail farm lot like a pig to slaughter, to be honest. Telling them lots of little porkies about, and they've been misled. They haven't been told the truth about what it's all about. Because at the end of the day, there were things to object about, but there was things where you've just got to bite the bullet and gone, in the wider context of the city, this is the right thing to do. Because we don't want 7,000 less jobs plus Nissan closing, because I think Councillor Mordy put something about the High Street today, about bins and all that, and House of Fraser shutting down. By Christ, Sunderland Town Centre needs a lot of work on it. But even without the expenditure of those that work at Nissan and all the associated jobs that go with it, if that isn't there, we're basically, there's a city, we've got no income. Because the port wouldn't be earning, and you see the sort of knock-on effect. But we've got people in power now who don't believe that should be the way it is. And don't believe in jobs and the rest of it. They say they do, but we know the truth of what's behind what they've said, the way they act. We actually have Councillor Kelly, even though he's a portfolio holder and sat in cabinet, actually waving his placard. We've put the photograph up before and I'll put it up again. But, you know, it stinks to high heaven. The transcript of what I've actually said about meeting this guy is actually going to go on the Twitter feed sort of tonight as well. And there's other things, the letters I've put up, the letters I sent to all 75 councillors last week. It's worth, if you're interested in this stuff, reading. And if you've got any questions, you've got me Messenger and the rest of it, just send us a message. I know a couple of people have said about children's services, it's not quite where it is. I'm talking about top management. The top management have got a grip of it, and they're hoping for... I don't think they'll get a good Ofsted. I think they'll get still improving. But there are mitigating circumstances for that, given certain issues which I don't think the public have been told about. Maybe the local authority and the Together for Children should be a little bit more honest with the public, and I think we might be a little bit more sympathetic. But it's about communication, as I think it is with everything. I'm going to leave it there because I think I've said enough. But if we're to stop these three people making the power grab that they've done and then leapfrogging to supposed MPship and deposing the three MPs we've got, which is a bit undemocratic, because I think there's better processes than these three doing what they're doing, then I think those in the Labour Party who are councillors and have the power to say no, they need to stand up and be counted. It's time that you actually said, yeah, enough is enough. So I'm going to leave it there.